Alrighty, here we go. Live stream is on. Now, I was actually thinking with this whole system for detecting where the doors are supposed to be located, why in the world am I stressing out trying to create some sort of a system? And I know there's a buzzing sound. Let me actually get rid of that right now. Why in the world am I stressing out to create the whatchamacallit it? Jesus Christ. One moment. Buzzing, go away. Why am I trying to stress out to create some sort of a system that dynamically generates the places where the door can be located? If I can just define all the points in 3D space relative to the room where the door can be set up, it's going to look exactly the same. It's going to feel exactly the same, except there's going to be less code, and that will just make my life infinitely easier. I don't have to detect borders, I don't have to detect boundaries, I don't have to detect any of that stuff. Why don't I just do that? I'll create my room. We'll say that this is the room door definer. We're going to make it nice and big. Let's make it 2000 by 2000. Alright. Now I'm going to do this. I'm going to create a new object. Right? And we're going to say this is going to be object obj temporary. This is going to be room. I will assign the room dungeon to it. And we're gonna go ahead and say that let's actually go to our door definer. We'll make it our first room. Drop this guy in here. Alright. Now obviously this has to be 5 times as big. 5, because everything in our game is 5 times the size. Okay, so what I want to do now is in this object temp room, we're gonna do a create event. We're gonna say image speed is equals to 0. We're also going to define a variable definition. We're gonna say image index, right? And this is gonna be this is gonna allow us to set the frame of the image. Okay, so this should be fine. Leave that as it is. And what I want to do is say we need to create the tool that will write down all the positions, all the XY coordinates for the door location. So right now we'll do the top doors. So we need to create a DS grid. DS grid create. We'll say positions. Positions. We'll say that this is supposed to be height of and width of 0, 0. Okay, we just need to create it once. We'll go to a step event. And what we need to do here is something else. Okay. Just typing something up for somebody. Okay, so there were errors detected. Okay, step event. So what we need to do is we need to say on mouse. Whoops, actually wrong program. This is actually mouse check mouse. Check button pressed. MB left. So whenever we press the mouse button, first thing we need to do is we need to resize the DS grid. DS grid. So we need to say DS grid resize. The grid we need to resize is going to be our positions grid. We'll need to say 1. Okay. So before we resize, we actually need to get the size of it, the current size, and we only need to get 1 dimension of it. So so it's going to be positions height. We'll ds grid get height, or just height, of the current ds grid. So this will get us the height, which will start out as 0 because there is nothing there. So we're gonna say width is gonna be 2, so x and y coordinates is what we need to save. So there's gonna be 2 places in it, 2 slots, and the height plus 1. Okay, what's great is that the first position, the first index, is actually the 0 index. So we can actually use this variable, which represents how many grid slots we have, which started out as 0. Then we change it. This variable doesn't really change, right? It stays at 0. It's just we resize it to be that variable plus 1. So that would be a 1, right? If we had 5 positions, this would stay as 5. And we'd say 5 plus 1, so it makes a 6th position, which is great for our case. But what we need to do now is say position height plus equals 1. Right. Position height plus equals 1, or plus 1. So we'll resize the grid, and we need to write down ds grid set this variable, the 0 x coordinate of the grid, and then y being the last value that we checked, and the value is going to be mouse, actually the value is going to be the x position of this room minus mouse x. So it's going to be relative to the center of the room. So we'll copy this. This is going to be going to slot 1, and this is going to be saving the same value except for the y position. The last thing we want to do is say ds grid right. And what this is going to do is it's going to turn our excuse me, I need to make sure that I'm addressing the right ds grid. It's going to turn our ds grid into a string, and we need to now say what's the buffer name? I keep forgetting. Clipboard set text. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn the grid that we created into a string, and we're going to save that string in the memory. So basically, if I'm going to run this now, Superintendent Chalmers. Okay. We need to make sure that if we are drawing something, we are drawing the self of it as well. Kind of important. You know, I kind of don't feel like putting any music right now. Okay. So notice how if I, let's say, open up a notepad, I paste anything, that's just my last code that I was typing in. Okay, so if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, suddenly I'm pasting some values, and this is our DS grid of the positions, of the mouse positions, being saved into the memory. So every time we click, it adds a new position to the DS grid, and it saves it. So that's kind of nice. So what I want to do now is with this object temp room, I want to draw not only self, but I also want to draw sprite SBR room dungeon door top. All right. This is going to be drawn at mouse X, mouse Y, And also, we need to make sure that we're actually using the extended version of this function. We'll say scale X, scale Y, rotation of, actually no, scale 5, because we scale everything by 5. So rotation 0. Actually, I'm missing something. The sub-image. Sub-image will be 0. X, Y, scale 1, scale, or scale 5, scale 5. Rotation of 0. Color C white. Alpha of 1. Okay, so this should draw our sprite that way. Should draw the sprite where the mouse is. So basically, there we go. So now I can actually say, okay, there should be a door there, 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 there. We'll place one here, and maybe one over there. Right? Makes sense? So this now technically contains this. The list of all the positions where that door can be located. Alright, so just as a little nicety, just so I can visualize it, every time I click on it, I'm gonna also create it. So instance create layer. So we're gonna create it in mouse X, mouse Y position on the layer instances. That's the only layer we have in this room. And obj door dungeon top. Here we go. So now when we actually click on the mouse button, we can place that door there. Visually, it will look the same. It will feel the same, right? No. It would be great if if that door dot image x scale equals 5. And y scale equals 5. And yes, it would be great if that door could be actually drawn on top of our level. So actually I'm gonna create a new layer, and we'll go to the temp room, and we'll say that this is the layer we're gonna be creating our stuff on now. Right? Handy dandy stuff. There we go. Beautiful. Yeah, so I'd say these are all the places where a door can exist in this particular level, up top. Now, I could probably even go as far as place like in betweens, but to be honest, at some point it's just kind of redundant. You know, all of these doors are there's more than enough space for a variety. Now, one more thing that I need to do is before I'm gonna place the doors, I'm actually gonna edit all of the rooms that I've started out with. Mainly because now that I've placed the player object inside of the room, I can actually scale everything according to the size of the player, which is something I didn't do the first time, and that's why my scaling was way off, wildly off. My walls were too big. My walls were too big. My tiles were too big, so my tiles look like giants. I'll show you that in a second. So if I go to Dungeon Room 001, right? Okay, so what happened basically? I placed my player that I drew inside of GameMaker Studio. I placed the player inside of the level, right? So this one is okay-ish, but this one, take a look at the size of the wall, right? Actually, this, didn't I change this already? This needs to not have the effect on it. Here we go. Dungeon Room 001. So the scaling, well, here's the thing. I'm basing my scaling on the scaling of Crawl. So the Crawl has a very kind of miniaturized look. So this was my original wall size, while this here was the wall size that I've made, that I've adjusted to make it look like, you know, it's to match the scaling of Crawl. So if I take a look at the doors here, as you can see, the doors now kind of line up, right? And this has like a very, very miniature feel to it. The size of the walls pretty much dictated the size of the room. And it dictated the size of the assets that I was creating. So if I said, if the wall is this big, that means the bookshelf is going to be this tall. And if what happened is that after I put in my door into the level next to the player, and I saw that the door was actually ginormous compared to the size of the player. So even though it's such a rudimentary thing to do, to make sure you have a reference object, I still completely forgot it, right? Completely forgot that you need to have a reference object in order to size up all the other items to the reference object, right? So now, if I take a look at, let's say if I take a look at the level, yeah, so if I take a look at this level, take a look at the doors line up, the player lines up, everything looks fine, everybody's happy, right? As you can see, everything lines up. Here we go, so we can actually proceed with all of our assets. Thank God I did not draw any of the assets as of yet. That would have been disastrous. Yeah, so I need to adjust all the walls right now and re-export all the room sizes before I'm gonna place all the doors there. So this is fine. The mask shouldn't change. Only this should change. Now, interestingly enough, if I go to the door, I could technically put a door there. I would just have to make sure that I change that little blip right there. I'd have to change the top piece, right? Because that piece is supposed to be represent like it's going overboard, right? So that piece would have to be removed, and that means I would have to have two door types, one for the low ceiling, one for the high ceiling, which would, you know, you could technically do it, but then I would have to make sure that I implement a I'd implement a marker or a check mark inside of each level prefab to tell the game, is this a tall ceiling or a tall wall prefab, or is this a low wall prefab? If it's a low wall prefab, use this door sprite. If it's not, use that door sprite. So yeah, I mean, it could probably look good for variety's sake, but that's all. You know, you have to put time into making that happen. So, and time is a resource that you have a limited amount of. So we're gonna just lower this ceiling. All right. Yep. We're gonna lower the ceiling. We're gonna match everything up here. Here we go. Yeah, that should be just fine. It's 2. The mask doesn't change. Let's go to 3. We'll use our door as a reference point. Okay. Not bad. Everything just kind of falls to scale. I like it. I like the miniature look to it. Okay, mask doesn't change. Actually, I'll need to edit the masks too, so while I'm here... wait. No. Do I need to change the masks? Why was I changing the masks in the first place? Or why did I say I wanted to change the masks? I think I wanted to change the masks because my dynamic... Okay, I think it was because of my dynamic generation or dynamic system for placing doors was kind of being confused by the masks. But since I'm not going to be doing that, do I need to change it? I'm pretty sure I don't. Because nothing else that depends on that mask, as far as I know, really needs to have it changed. Wow. Man, you lower the ceiling by, what, a third? And suddenly the entire level looks a lot bigger. I like it. I learn a lot, man. I learn a lot. Even I learn a lot. Whoops. Oof, man. Today's kind of a weird day. Okay, let me extend that a little bit. Oop, too much. Here we go. Get that man some coffee. 5, 6. Okay, we're getting there. Man, it's amazing just how much bigger the entire level looks. Let me save this. Save this right now. Alright. Door top. Move that there. See reference objects. I'm using a door as a reference. Super important. Okay. Nice. 7. What is this? This height? Oh, we're done, actually. Yeah, nice. So now we'll disable the player. And we'll have to save this stuff now. So how's everybody doing? This is 1. Okay, let's go ahead and use our assigned shortcut. Control-Alt-E. Azeris, how's it going? Okay. Hey, come on. Oh, it's exporting. Actually, it's asking me to do something. 2. Yep. Well, it's, you know, it's always a good idea to do something right from the get-go. Mask 3. Also, always use shortcuts. Oh. That's 3 mask. This is a random generation or a game where you place things yourself? This is a random generation. I already have the room generation in code. In place, I should say. I just need to make sure that my rooms are being connected by doors. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now. I started making this convoluted system of trying to detect the edges of the room. Like I would start from the center and I'd get the bounds left and right, and I'll do like pick a random location between the bounds, and then I track upwards to see where the door would be placed. But man, it's easy to do with a level like this. Not so much with a level like this, for example, where it's like, oh, we're gonna start here. And, okay, well, we reached the edge of the entire room, I guess, because the next pixel is empty, right? Because it only checks the floor, right? According to the mask. So it's like, oh, it's empty, so this is the entire size of the room. So now I have to make a custom center point, say for this room, the center point that we track from is actually located here. So now you have the entire size, right? But to be honest, why do I have to make my life so fucking complicated? Why can't I just, you know, say, you know, we're gonna go into our level, and for this particular room style, we're gonna say that for the top doors, all the locations where you can place the damn top door is going to be, you know, this, and that. And those are all the locations where you can place the top door, right? That's what I'm doing right now, basically. I just need to re-export all of these things because I've changed the size of them. So this is 4. And then we'll do 4 mask. You know, it's gonna look exactly the same. It's gonna feel exactly the same as if it were randomly generated. You know, you provide more points. It's gonna look like it's gonna look like you randomly picked those points. It would be a lot more like Diablo. Well, Diablo is grid based, so you know, things don't fall out of line, so to speak, literally speaking. Save that. 7. And then 7 mask. Okay, beautiful. I can go back here. And we're gonna import our stuff into the prefabs. I'm gonna need to make more designs for this, eh? Middle center, and our masks, same exact order. There we go. So now, if I run this, it should show the appropriate room sizes. I like how my cup just picks up the coaster along with it. You know, game dev things. Okay, beautiful. So now my door looks like it actually fits there. So we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Actually, yeah, let me actually enter. Home? No. Okay, that should be fine. So, yeah, you know what? Let me not half-ass it. I don't want to come back and redefine those points. What about you? What are you working on? Oof. Okay, one more time. 1, 2. It is snowing outside. God damn it! I thought we were done with it for the year. Okay, here we go. There we are. So the top door can only be located on those points. Harvest Moonlight game at the moment. Stardew Valley, Rune Factory. Nice. Rune Factory, Stardew Valley, Harvest Moon. You know, Minecraft. Another like 500 games. Yeah, I'm making another one of those. Oh, jeez. Alright. Sorry. Don't mind me. I'm just being an idiot. Okay, so now that we have all those points, we can actually go into our real room blank. And we're going to say, with this... Yeah, so you see what we're doing here. We were defining the custom center point. So screw the center point. The top one is actually going to be containing the string for the top door position, right? Now, if I go for, let's see, if I go for the bottom door, so we'll go here, actually the temp room, and we can say, instead of drawing this, we're gonna say, we're gonna draw the bottom, and we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so bottom door for this room, located, let's see, we can locate it here. Thank you. Okay. Okay, even though that doesn't represent the actual door position, because it still creates the old door side, I can go back to room blank. This will be the bottom. There we go. Whoops. Proper string. Job fair to get a job. Nice. Good luck. Beautiful. So now that we're doing this, actually, if I want to make a system that does show the proper door type, what I'm gonna say is this is gonna be door type equals SPR. Okay, door. So it's SPR door, and right now we're doing sides. So instead of drawing the specific sprite, we're gonna draw this, and when we create this guy, I'm gonna say door dot sprite index will be equals to that as well. Okay, nice. So now we can go ahead and run the code. Wow, it is really snowing. What the hell? That's not nice. I thought shoveling days were over. Okay, so this is left side. Okay. It would be probably better if I did this from top to bottom. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So those are all the locations where a door can open up. So we'll go to room. We'll say bounds center. Well, I'm gonna need to rename this actually. That's very misleading. So 3 would be left. Alright, it's only 6 positions. And then we'll do right. Okay, so door locations. Okay. I'm gonna have to do this for all 4 doors. And each room. So that's my incentive for not making or not thinking of those tiny little changes that would facilitate having to create a whole new set of assets and redefine all these things, right? If I change the position of the room in here, I'm screwed, basically. Like if I change this to there, I have to redefine all those points again. So I'm just gonna make sure that moved back. Okay, this is for the right side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Those are the 6 points for the right side. So now, if this room gets generated, which means, let me actually do that now. So now if we go to our master object, right? And we're gonna select this room to be the room that gets created. Okay, up, down, left, and right should still be there. We just no longer need to do... No, that we still need to do that. That actually tracks which direction our rooms are being created. Right? What I don't need is this mess. I think. Yeah, this guy. Get custom center. So screw all of this nonsense. Up until we create the room. So we're gonna say the current room, which is room body. For now, let's just create a random door position. Room body dot room positions, door locations. Okay, let me actually close all but this. Yes, thank you. In fact, close that one too. Time to clear blank slate. I need the master object. Step event over here. Okay, so this is door positions. We're gonna say for the top door, this is 0. Actually, this has to be sprite index or image index. So we're gonna go room body dot image index, and we're gonna say the first value is the top value. So this would be the DS grid in a string form. So we're gonna have to say DS top. I need to create it, don't I? Yes. And this will be in the master object, so at least for the time being, we can create it as a temporary variable here. This is DS lists for door placements. So DS door top equals DS grid create. We'll say it 0, 0. That's just the placeholder. So we'll go now to the step event. We'll say DS top. Or we'll say DS grid read into this DS grid top that we just created. We're gonna read the string located in the first position there. Okay, so that basically gives us the DS grid for the top position. So we can extract the X and Y locations now. Get the, so don't get custom center, get DS grid for door placements. And the best thing is that we only need to do this once. Well, maybe twice. First time when we create the door for the previous room, so that we can go back to that room. Second one for the door of the next room. So we only need to do this twice. Okay, DS grid create. DS door top room. Yeah, so this should be fine. So now if we take DS door top, we'll need to actually get options equals DS grid height of this DS grid. So options will give us the height of the DS grid, and the height of the DS grid tells us how many separate recordings we did of positions. So if we have 15 positions, then we'll have the height of 15. So we can choose any one of those. Now, DS get options. Man, oof. Woke up on the wrong side of my circadian rhythm. Now I'm like out of whack. Okay. DS options. That gives us the total height of the DS grid. So now we can do something like door top X, door, you know what, we'll just do door X, door Y. Make it generic. So we'll say DS grid get from DS grid top. We will be getting the 0, so that's X position, and in here we'll say random. Actually, I should probably pick the random slot will be equals to floor of random range. Actually, just random. As a matter of fact, I don't think I need the floor at this value. I think it would be smart enough to know. Maybe. Actually, yeah, I think I do need to floor it. Random get options. So this will give us our random height position in the grid, and we need to use it both for getting the X and Y coordinate. Okay, so 0, 1. So this now gives us the door X and door Y, the position to spawn the door X and door Y. So now we need, since those are reference values, we need to make sure that they're created in reference to the X and Y coordinate of the door. Okay. So I think that is it. The only thing is we're gonna have to cycle through the random values now. Oh man. Need to like go take a dunk in the cold lake. Alright, so what is the problem? Trying to index variables which is not in an array. Of course, that is because we have an array in the room blank. We only have one array entry for position 0. But we have 7 rooms. So what we need to do here is when we create our room, especially the first one, we need to say that the image index will be 0. And we cannot not set the random value that way. Right. Okay, so not in the array dsgrid read. Trying to get index of a variable which is not in an array. dsgrid read door positions. Now that was in here. Door positions. We'll say room body of image index. How many doors are we? No, we're creating one door. Room body image index, which should be 0, because if we go here, we say that image index is 0. I mean, we could probably go as far as maybe set this one to 0, but technically the code doesn't even reach that. We only create one door. This code is for any other door other than the first door. Oh, man. I'm not a morning person. For God's sakes. Let me check the other value that I'm checking here. Door underscore positions. Room body. Room body image index, and I'm getting 0. Now we do have that value there, right? Yeah, 0, 1. Oh, well, okay, that wouldn't change anything as far as I know, because we're not even accessing that that value. Are we? I don't think we are. Oh, we are. No, 0, 1, that's the dsgrid. That has nothing to do with it. Okay, line 154, that is this line. So, what are we trying to do here? We're trying to read. Oh, room body. Yeah. Room body would contain the temporary ID of the room that we just created, which would go to that object. So what if we set this to 0 instead of, you know, that? That should be... Whew. That should be the real position in that that object. Okay, you know what? Posture. Posture is everything. Oh, jeez. A lazy position will prompt lazy behavior. Okay. Trying to index a variable which is not in an array. So if we go to our room blank, door locations, and I'm trying to access door positions because I am an idiot. So wait, do I have... Wait a minute. Door positions. Yeah, there's only one mention of it, and that's here. But it says location not in an array, but that kind of suggests me that the array exists. If it were told me array non-existent or can't find variable array, then that would have told me that the array doesn't exist. Not the value in an array doesn't exist. Anyways, oh well. Hey, that doesn't look right. Let's see. So it does track the correct position along the x-axis. It just doesn't do it along the y-axis. And that's because, let's change this. So door position, door location. I'll change this back to the room index, which should work now. But actually, Let me check if I was writing down the correct values. I think I was. 0 x y is y minus mouse y. Yeah, that's correct. Hopefully. So door x, door y. Okay, by all means, this should work. Also, one more thing that I want to do is instead of having level, we're going to create a new layer. We're going to make it an instance layer. It's going to be called level content. So we don't have to bother with all the depth tracing shenanigans. Although we are going to have to bother with it because we need to make sure that things below the things like objects would have to be drawn below objects. So let's say if the enemy moves from the top to bottom, it needs to make sure that at the bottom it's being displayed above, let's say, a bookshelf than if it was at the top. Okay, so we got level content. Okay, so why is the Y position not being set properly? Alright, we go room body 0. DS door top, room body door locations. 0 is the top door array. And based on the image index, we get the first position. And 0 is the top door array. Yeah. Get options. We get the top, the height. Well, that works because we are retrieving the proper data. And then we say random slot will get us the random slot. And then retrieve the data from the DS grid. 0 being X, 1 being Y. This should be working. Honestly. It's kind of weird. Man, why didn't I do this the first time? It's bothering with collisions. Ugh. Terrible. Terrible. Time wasting. The X position is correct. Y position is not. Okay. For the sake of an experiment, let's go back to this guy. Let's make sure that our Y position is being recorded properly. All right, so we're going to place a bunch of random doors in places where doors don't belong. Okay. So that should be fine. If we go to this guy, I'll comment this out. And I'll say this is the new top door location array. Door location 0, 0. Okay, yeah, we need to go to the other room. The real room. Hello, Billy. Come on. Okay, Y is working, but it's offset from the wrong center point by the looks of it. So that tells me that somewhere in the math, either when I record or when I recreate, What if I go over here, and instead of plus y, we'll say minus y. Actually, I don't think that would work. You know what? Yeah, instead of testing that out, let me go back here, and I'm going to go into our temp room, the setup, and I'm gonna go and say, and see, seesaw. I'm gonna say draw text at the top left corner. We're gonna say X offset will be the X calculation, and then we'll say Y offset will be the Y calculation. And we're going to see if the position that we're resulting with is indeed relative relative to the room position, the room center point. So the room center, it is not drawing anything. So what is the point? What the hey? This is room temp room, yes. In the draw event, yes. Let's actually maybe set it to like 50 by 50, and let's make sure that we do draw set color. Whoops. We'll make it C white. Okay. Make sure that we draw in white. And oh, well, that would explain it. So Azenrith, what's your game about? Does it have a story? Campaign? Quests? Or is it more of a just a creative type? Okay. Okay, so you can see we already have a problem. It's only when we go to the top left corner is where the position is supposed to be negative. So I think I'm actually recording the wrong value. It's supposed to be mouse X minus X and mouse Y minus Y. So we are recording the wrong data, which means all my data that I've just done is incorrect. Ah, boy. Gotta redo that. You know, let me put on some tunes. I need to put on some tunes. Could use some tunes. There we go. So now it's negative if it's above top left corner of the room. Positive if it's in the bottom right. There we go. I'll have it nice and low for myself. Right. Don't really have a story other than a group of people move to a new world and start new colony. And you're tasked with running the farm to create food and biomass for energy. Sounds cool. Okay, so let's redefine those points. Is it like a side-scrolling view, or is it more of a, you know, Stardew Valley bird's eye view? Okay, this is for the right. The right. Okay, now we can go to the top. SPR, room, dungeon, door top, bird's eye top down, whatever it's called. Man, why didn't I do this the first time? What is wrong with me? It's coming up with some overcomplicated system for detecting edges and collisions. It's ugh. Oh man, live and learn. Get this for the bottom. The only drawback of doing this is that, well, you have to do it for every single room. So if you add a new room, instead of having the automated script do it for you and detect all the edges, you have to do it manually. So that's the drawback of doing this manually. But oh well. Okay. Switch the room. As a matter of fact, make sure the room is correct. So let's test this out. And of course, in the master object, I need to make sure that I add the value this time around. Interestingly enough, the X position actually worked, because the X position was kind of just being inversed. As long as the center point of the room was perfectly in the middle of the sprite. Okay, so let's see. God damn it. What are you doing? What are you doing? Why is it... What the hell is going on now? Okay, let me check. Let me take a look at this. Door Y. Yes. Why is it... Wait a minute. Oh, damn it. Damn it. I draw the correct... son of a bitch. I only changed the calculation where it was drawn. Damn it. I only changed the calculation when it was drawn, not when it was recorded into the data structure. Gotta do that again. Okay, yeah. So that's a thing that happened. Let's go ahead and run the script again. Okay, this time no fuck ups. Come on, you can do it. Like the animation of the door, seems magical. It's supposed to be very like fluid, like very animated. Squish and stretch. Squish and stretch. Okay, top one. One. You should see the animation for one of the enemies. I just have it disabled right now because I'm testing out the door creation thing, but I'll show it to you in just a second. Let's see. This is for the top. Let me just place these rooms. These doors, I mean. Top. Okay. And then we have side. Yeah. I'm going for this like very animated, very Newgrounds-ish style of animations. Lots of like squishing and stretching as is used very widely in classic animation. 3, 4, 5. That's the left side. Okay. Left, and then we'll go for the right side. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Right side. Beautiful. Okay, don't need to run that again. Oh, lordy lord, let's see if it's gonna work right this time. Hey, it's working. Nice, nice. Okay. The door animation I'd have to fix a bit. It was initially animated, and then I had to scale it down because I completely fucked up on the sizing. Right, the door looked like it was 3 times the size of the player because I was an idiot. I didn't use the player as a reference. I just drew the thing. So that it would fit in the room. So, yeah, stupid things happened. Anyways. Okay, this might break a few things, but let's see. I need this event here. Where's the... There we go, alarm. Okay. Okay, so this is what the what I had so far done for this prototype slash, you know, first test. Not said before reading bound bottom. Oh, man. Do you have to do that now? Ah, man. Okay. This is actually in the alarm event. And it's using random range. Okay. I'm gonna just spawn them right smack in the middle of the room. Because I don't have these variables anymore. I feel like... Huh. See, for that, I would need to make some sort of a random script. I mean, I could always start in the middle of the room, which is the place where there's always a collision, and I can randomly generate a set of values. Well, yeah, so this is basically what's going on right now. Yep. That's what it is. Okay. So, now that I know that the doors are spawning properly, and I'm pretty sure all the other doors are gonna spawn correctly. What I need to do now is in the master object, when we create our rooms, we need to match up that the next room's opening door, so entry door, matches up with the previous room's closing door, right? And the funny thing is that if I do that, I no longer need to do any of these looping collision check shenanigans. Holy crap, there's so much stuff that's gonna run faster just because I do this instead. Let's see, I need to save this. Birth of Reapers engine. So this would be 4. There's a certain library that I need to buy for this game. Technically I don't need it, but I would very much like it. It's a sound library. It's called Modern and Massive, and it's sold by Get Good Drums. So effectively it's a drumming library of drum samples programmed into a VST instrument. And it has amazing sounding drum kits, because this game is supposed to have a metal soundtrack. It's like rock, heavy metal, mixed in with 8-bit. So I do have a drumming library that I could still work with, but I would very quite much like to get that other library, because it has the more modern, like, thrash metal sounds in it, while my current one has more like heavy rock, heavy metal, or industrial metal sounds. So, I mean, I could still get by, but, you know, I'd like, you know. Oh well. Anyways, that library is about 120 bucks. So by the time, like, I don't need it now, I'm sure I can, you know, save up 120 bucks by the time I do need it. So that's by the time we get to the point where I do need to write the music for this game. I need to save up, you know, 120 bucks to get that library. So, yeah. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to writing music for this. Holy crap, man. This is the original room, the initial room, the first room. So we're not really doing any sort of... Okay, so we have previous room X and previous room Y. We no longer need that. The reason we had that is... Actually, we don't need Y next. Yeah? Oh, look, that's cool. Yeah, we don't need any of this stuff. In fact... Yeah, prevent direction. That's all we need to do. We just need to make sure we know which direction we need to prevent our movement to. Let's see. So we've got else. Direction counter. We don't need that. As a matter of fact, we don't need this. That's once again, this was old code that placed rooms depending on their collision checking. Don't need that anymore. We need to synchronize the doors now. Okay, so what is this else belonging to? This else belongs to whether or not this is the first door. Okay, the second door is here, the gone door. So we have the else. Okay, this is the random script that says which direction we're going to go next, and it checks to make sure that the next direction is not going to go backwards. So we don't go create room there and then create room immediately back. Although I think I could optimize the script. Not optimize it, but I think I could code in being able to create rooms that are kind of stacked on top of one another just by having doors next to each other. But, you know, maybe afterwards. Okay, so after the script gets executed, our new direction will be here, right? Which means that now this is the piece of script that actually moves the room. So we don't need that. However, we do need, let's make it a 2-column, move the create event here. So we do have the previous last room ID. That's what we need. In fact, the script that we had here does have the last room ID there. Yeah, so we're using last room ID in that while loop here when we're checking for collisions. So all we need to do actually you see, when we say create the door, right, when we say create the door, we need to write down the position of our door, of the door for that room. So we need to actually say room blank. We'll have to define a few temporary variables. So this way we'll say door top X, door top Y equals 0. Actually, we'll sell it to null or none. Bottom X. Left. Right. Door top X, door bottom X, door left X, door right X. Okay, so they're going to be none. So when we go to the master object and we do define the create the door, we need to not only create that door, we also need to write down which door it is. So first of all, right after we pick the direction that we want to go into, which happens right here after that, until the new direction is not the same as the direction we're not supposed to go backtrack into. After this happens, we need to say what that direction is. So new direction, switch, new direction, place a next door on that direction. Right, so we're gonna have to say this. We're gonna do the same exact case lineup. Okay. We'll go back here. So if case is up, case down, case left, and case right. See, this would actually be you know, screw it. Let's leave it with the strings. I know there's one way I could optimize it and use numbers instead of strings, and then use numbers instead of, you know, this script, but whatever, you know. This is fine. So we've got DS grid for door placements. This I think I'm going to move into a script. This is a lot of script to be executing or copying and pasting. So I think this is a perfect thing for us to move into a separate script. Okay, so this should be able to run. And I don't think I need to supply anything in there. It should be able to use the same variables as the object that it's within. Yes, as you can see, that should be fine. Now, if I want to be able to reuse the script here, so place the doors. If this is up, right, if the direction we're about to go to is up direction, then we need to say which DS grid we have to use. So first of all, this is going to be up is 0, down is 1, left is 2, right is 3. So if we go to the script and we say array direction will be argument 0, and we're gonna go here, we're gonna say that the array from which we're gonna be getting our position is going to be this. Yes, yes. So if we're going to go right, it's going to pull up the array right, which is going to contain the DS grid of all the positions where we can place the door along the right side. Okay, so it says argument 0. Illegal access of arguments. Arguments is not provided to script. Oh yeah, that's right. Because we have an argument, we now have to provide that argument. Now, is there like a default argument that we can provide, just in case? Okay, so that's over here when we do create the door for this room. Well, we're testing with 0, so we're testing with top. Okay, that is correct. Now, if I were to place... Okay, this is actually for the next room, right? So for the next room, that's the return door for the next room. So this here is supposed to be working. Switch new direction, right? Up, down, left, or right. This is supposed to be creating the door into which we're going to be moving in. And that does literally nothing. Well, actually, it does nothing because it's located in the wrong room. This here is for else. Else meaning, is this the first room? So this will apply only to the second, third, fourth, etc., etc. rooms. This here will apply to our first room. So this is actually where it's supposed to go. Okay, here we go. Perfect. All right. Okay. I should really fix up the fact that I can actually hit the enemy while it's being spawned. That's not really good. It's right here. Up, down, left, right. No, that's not the right place. I need to go to the player object. Just a little quick fix. Nothing too complicated. Right here. When we attack the player, here we're checking as long as the enemy is not already hit, and we have a spawn object, or spawn variable, don't we? Spawned. So as long as spawned is equals to true. Okay, so that should be it. And now that should prevent us from being able to deal damage to an enemy until it spawns. Okay. Okay. It's 12:30. Oh, not said before reading. Spawned, of course, I need to make sure that it's the enemy hit variable from the enemy that we dealt damage to, or that we're hitting. That's the enemy we're trying to check. There we go. Perfect. Now that the door's in place, it actually kind of looks like a legitimate game. Alright. So give me a second. I want to get more tea. I want to get more drinks. More hot drinks. Alright, so I'll be right back. Alrighty. So, hey. There's a lot of enemies. If anything, we need more blood. There's no like blood splatters when you hit the enemy, which if you put them in, they just look satisfying. Right? It validates that you've hit the enemy. The white flashing doesn't do enough. Okay. Okay. Back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Let's open this thing up. So when we create the opening door, prevent direction. So we say prevent direction. Actually, see, in this room, it's not door top, door down that we need. It's actually, well, okay, we do need that. But we need to know which one of those doors is the door that leads to us. So we need the direction next will be equals to none, or that's actually no one. I can't use no one. Is there a no? Okay, there's got to be like some sort of a like a null variable, unless is set I don't know. I don't think we have a null variable. How do you do a null of variable? Yeah, I don't think we can null a variable. Undefined. Can we set it to undefined? Null. Wait a minute. Yeah, there's no null in here. Okay, well, let's see if we can do this. So we'll set these to undefined. Which I think... Yeah, no, this should be fine. If it works, that is, of course. So, direction next. See, this new direction only exists inside of Object Master. This new direction gets overwritten every time a new room is being created. So what we need to do is we need to say... Let's see, after this, after the new direction is picked, this is our first room. So we need to say room body dot direction next has to be equal to new direction. Right, that's the first room. We don't actually need to check whether or not that is correct, because the first room is the first room. We're not actually checking if we can backtrack into the, well, room before the first room, right? However, here, write down the next room direction. Okay, so that's when we have to actually write down the room. The problem is that we actually need to make sure that our room is first created. Here we go. And then we write down the next room for that room. Right. Okay. So we generate the new direction, up, down, left, or right. As a matter of fact, 0, 1, 2, 3. That should actually create the room in, depending on the direction, or that should create the door, depending on the direction we're going in. It's still not hot enough. Okay. There we go. Okay. So it's actually doing that correctly. The only thing is the door, the sprite of it is not right. The sprite of it... The sprite of it. That's what we set in here. And we say array direction. So we say switch the direction we chose, case 0, case 1, case 2, case 3. Okay. SPR will be SPR underscore dungeon door room dungeon door top. Okay, this one has to be bottom. And then these ones have to be side. The only thing that gets switched is the direction. Right, we'll figure out the direction afterwards. And that does literally diddly nothing. Why? Array direction. Case 0. Oh yeah, that's right, because we're not actually changing the... So door equals... or door.sprite index will be set to the SPR. Now, instead of door top, we'll just say this is the door. Okay. Try that again. Nice. So the only thing we need to change is something when it happens to the door right. Right? Right. Okay. So we'll leave that time. We'll leave it for the now. For the now. Ooh. I just had an interesting idea for the movement mechanic. When you have to move between rooms, since you need all the players to kind of synchronize the movement, we'll say we can have like a button that's split into 4 pieces, like 4 slices, like a pizza. And each slice gets filled in. Each slice of the forward button gets filled in when all the players are next to the door. So that when all the players are next to the door, then everybody moves to the next level. Right? Okay. So we have that. That's working. Going back to the code. Object master. So here we say that's the first room. Okay? So when the first room takes place, we need to write down the... We need to create the door. We need to write down the direction we're moving in. And now in here, when we create the second door, when it's time to create the second door, we're supposed to take a look at what was the direction. Not only what was the direction, what was the next door location. Right? What was the location of the next door? And yeah, so we'd have to synchronize some stuff. Right now, level placement. Oh my goodness, why is this wrapping my brains? Should be straightforward. So we need to get the point where the door was created. So that happens here with the first door, right when this script is being executed. We create the door. And then we have to say that the room, we need to say room body dot. This is direction next. Well, actually we already do the direction next, but what we need to do then, oh man. Okay, the simplest thing to do is if I take direction next and I create direction next X and direction next Y. That's the point where we have direction next X equals and direction next Y equals. Then we can just go ahead and place the door X and door Y coordinate in here. This makes it very linear though, so I won't be able to reuse these for... Oh, okay. I'm not going to jump to conclusions. So now that we have we know what the previous door's ID is, and we know that previous door, or so not the previous door, but the previous room has within itself the variables direction next x and direction next y. So what we need to do is when we go here, we go down, we generate the new direction, we do all that stuff. This is where we create the door. This is where we create the door for the next direction, but we also need to create the door for the previous direction. So the only thing is that we need to make this, right, new direction, we need to make this after we generate the new room. And as a matter of fact, we go through the creation of the room itself first entirely. So here we have so room body x, room body y. We really don't need that. Record the new last room. So this is fine. This actually needs to be the very last thing that happens in the script. But we create a room. Then we need to pick a new direction. Sorry, we need to not pick, we need to create the door in the location of our previous room. I think we're gonna have to make a new script. So create door, and we're gonna need to make a new script. Create door back. So create door back, I think it's going to be responsible for more than one thing. This is, we don't need this. We need to be an object master. Okay. Jeez. Jeez, I'm just, man. God damn it. Instance create layer. Okay, when we create the room here, we need to, after we do that, we need to see, it creates the room at the previous room location, which was pertinent when we were using collisions in order to distribute the room locations, but now we're not, so that doesn't matter that that's located in the center of the previous room. What does matter is that, I swear to God, man, trying to like fix your sleep schedule is terrible work, but you have to do it. You have to do it. Okay. Room body, room body, room body, room body. We create the new room. Now we need to, we don't need to create, okay, screw it. Write down the next room direction. Okay, that's fine. So we will run the script for room back. As a matter of fact, that's actually exactly where we need to run it. Right here. The new direction. Then we run the script. I think this is actually where we need to run both scripts. Create the next room and create the room with the previous the previous direction. So if we take this last room ID, we just pass it on there, we can actually do the rest inside of the script. Okay, last room ID. So when we enter this, the first thing that is being sent to us is the last room ID. From the last room ID, we need to get we really just need to get the X and Y coordinate of the player, of the, sorry, not player, of the door that leads into the current room that we're currently building, in the process of putting together. So I guess the first thing that we need to do is actually create, yes. So we need to create, we don't need this, we need to create the room, right? We don't need to read the DS grids for this stuff, as a matter of fact. We just need to create the room. We'll create it at, oh, create the door, sorry, Jesus. We'll create the door at the X and Y position of the room for the time being. This is just the door. The room's already created. So, oh Jesus, we need to get from last room, we need to get direction next room X and direction next room Y. Direction next room X, and we'll need to do direction next room Y. So this tells us which position the door was created last time. Right? Right. So actually, I'm sorry, I actually need to do this. We actually do need some of this stuff, but not in the sense that we want. Okay, we do need the DS grid stuff, because the DS grid does contain the array of positions where we can place the door. So what we need to do here is say last room, the last room ID dot, I think it's dot next, so we don't need the enemy eyeball. I can actually go into the master object and just open up the script from there. So in the room we have X, Y, next, and all of these guys. So we also have something called, yes, a direction room next is the direction here. No, not there, right here, I think. No, that's not it. Where do we create the room? Here. Direction next is new direction, so it's going to be a string. Inside of that variable, direction next, which is this one here, we should have a copy of which direction we pick to go into. So it's going to be a string. So if we go here and say last room direction next, that should contain the string within which we know which direction we came from. So, right, so we'll keep that there for the time being. As a matter of fact, okay, yeah, so that's correct. We'll go with this. We'll uncomment the code here. So depending on this variable, we need to see which direction we are supposed to be creating. We need basically to get the opposite direction. All of this stuff that we were doing, the prevent direction, that's basically what we need. As a matter of fact, man, why am I doing this? Why don't I just say direction next and direction prevent. So why don't I just say, we'll go here, we'll say prevent direction. Or in this case, yeah, let's keep it equal across the board. So prevent direction will say, what is the previous direction that the next room cannot generate its next room from, but it can generate the returning door for. So that is actually perfect. So we'll say this. This can be this could be any one of these. So we'll go here. Whoops. We'll go over here. All right. So depending on what this is, this will actually tell us which DS grid containing the various positions we can place a door at, which side are we supposed to be looking at. So if we go down, then the first door is going to say you can't create the next room for the second door that goes back up. It has to go in any other direction. But we'll record it that direction is where you cannot go for the next room, but you can still place a door there so you could go back, right? And that will tell you which DS grid of coordinates you're supposed to be checking to place that back returning door. All right, so we'll say return door will be equals 2. So up is 0, down is 1, and then 2, and then 3. So that when we go here, we'll say array direction, the direction we're supposed to go into is going to be that one. Okay? All right. So now that that's figured out, it will pick the same door. Or sorry, it will pick it will pick a door. Pick the side, depending on, you know, what we discussed just now. And it's going to create a door at a random position there. So this door X and door Y is technically the offset by which we need to offset the position of the second door. So basically it's going to be originating from the first door X and Y, for the first room X and Y, plus the offset of the next door, plus the offset of the closing door in the second room, will result in the position of the second room when it's synced up to the door of the first room. So this is what we need to do. This is what we have to figure out, this position. So this actually can be done right here. We'll say room body. Okay. And we don't need to do this because this is not the right script. We'll say room body.x, room body.y. Okay, and we actually need to make sure that we create this where we position the room. This room relative to the door of the previous room. Okay, so we'll say .x equals .y equals. So yes, we need to say that this is last room .x plus door, not plus door, but it's actually going to be plus direction next x. Yes, plus plus door x, and I think I have to, since this would be relative to the door, this needs to be times -1. And the reason being is because this is relative to the center. The door position is relative to the center point of the room we're working with. So if the door was located at the top left corner, it would be a negative value, like -200 minus 300. But, you know, if we do that, then if we position the room based on those values, it actually moves it back. So it needs to move in the opposite direction. Okay. So we'll say X, Y, next Y, door, Y. I think that should do it. Now let's see what kind of errors we're going to get. So we're going to go here. We're going to make sure that we create at least 2 doors or 2 rooms. Okay, so assignment operator, malformed assignment. Oh yeah, that's right. We have leftover variables here. What's next? Come on. Give it to me. Not set before reading. Previous room.y. Object master. Okay, object master 109. Object master 109, that's this guy. Previous room X, previous room Y. So that doesn't matter. We're actually going to say that. What's next? Not set before reading direction next X. Object master line 36. Line 36. That's this one. Prevent direction. Wait, what? Once again. Line 36 is the script, the create door script. Okay. Not said before reading it. So direction next. Line 36 of create door back. So it's this one. Okay. And direction next X. So that's actually supposed to come from this object. Okay. Holy crap. Okay. I mean, it positioned it. It positioned it, but let's see. Okay, not quite. We're a little bit... It's working. I'm not sure what the hell that's all about, but it's technically it's synchronizing the room position, first of all. That's the most important part. It's just that the okay. If the camera could follow the object player, that would be great. But this is actually great. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to take a break. I'm gonna grab some, you know, a bite to eat. We'll continue working on this, but I'm kind of excited. It's working.